The Bush Hill stud, situated just outside of Moy River, belongs to Corrin and Warwick Render. Or should I say, Warwick and Corrin Render. But who cares anyway? They both work equally hard, and to quote Warwick, he said that last year I mentioned that Corrin threatened me with not having another Stallion day. And I have to admit that her wish came very close to happening, as many circumstances have tried hard to cause all our plans to flounder.
After much juggling of dates to not encroach on other activities in this hectic month, we finally decided to compromise and settled on today's date, only to hear at the 11th hour that there had been major changes to the racing calendar due to the rain last week. This and probably the worst drought we've had in some 35 years. If I'd only known that this is what it would take to make it rain, we would have planned for at least 3 Stallion days in the last 3 months.
However, despite many last-minute cancellations, we decided that we were too far down the road not to press on. A little like breeding in general, some might say. For us, this day is not only about showcasing our stallions, but also about saying thank you to all of you who have supported both Bush Hill and our stallions in the past year. And as such, we will always endeavour to make it worth your while by attending today. So let's start off with the son of Fastnet Rock. His name is Curveball, and he's the first and only son of Fastnet Rock to stand here in South Africa. Under normal circumstances, I would leave it to a member of the Klavervlei team to tell you about Curveball. But since the Klavervlei Stallion Day is taking place at this very moment, it is left up to me to tell you about the exploits of the supreme racehorse. Curveball's progeny made their first appearances at the sales this year, where he largely drew the support and respect he deserves, achieving an impressive 120,000 Rand average for all progeny sold to date, with his top price thus having been 350,000 Rand. One would have to say a very good return on just an 8,000 Rand service fee. And not surprisingly, Charles Laird, who we know rated this horse extremely highly, was amongst those to have put his hand up for some of the progeny.
If I go as far as to say it's probably the best Australian horse that I ever trained. You know, we gave him a run first time out, he ran 4th. He then won his maiden. In his 3rd start, we ran 1-2 in the Dingons, he won it. His 4th start, he won the Sea Cottage Stakes, 1800, 6 weeks after the Dingons. I will tell you, probably 3 weeks before the Dingons, I took him to Turffontein and galloped him with an older horse called Oracy, who had won 5 out of 5. He gave him an absolute hiding. Scott Kenny was standing in the background. He said, "Al, the big horse worked well, but please tell me what was the companion." I told him who it was, and I think he got the money in the Dingons. You know, when I say I can't tell you how good he was. And he was a bull of a horse, so he was only learning anyway.
Coolmore rate Fastnet Rock so highly that they have put his service fee at a level that they are not even willing to publish, and boldly make the statement, the best stallion in the Southern Hemisphere, something that we are sure Arrowfield connections of REDOUBTS choice would debate rather hotly. But the reality is that Fastnet Rock yearlings have averaged over 385,000 Australian dollars in that part of the world. Moving on to Irish Flame, who has twice been shown at the Bush Hill Stallion Day. And Irish Flame is the first son of Dynasty to have gone to stud. He is the only son of Dynasty at stud to have emulated his great father and achieved the title of Equus Horse of the Year. One of the highest, biggest advertising points for Jackson is that he is a son of Dynasty who has twice won the Equus Outstanding Sire Award, and is also the first 3-year-old Horse of the Year in South Africa to sire a 3-year-old Horse of the Year from his first crop. And Irish Flame is that horse. From a South African Horse of the Year, we now move on to King's Chapel, who is a New Zealand Horse of the Year, and also as a 3-year-old. He was a triple Grade 1 winner over 12, 1400 and 1600 metres, and he broke the respective course records on each occasion. He was a horse good enough to take on the best in the whole of Australasia, and was beaten by a whisker in a Grade 1 by Grand Army, which meant he was also touched off by this horse for the title of Australasian champion. But as with any sire, there comes a point at which one must not measure him only by what he has achieved himself, but by the achievements of his progeny. And King's Chapel has given every indication that he has what it takes to make an impact here too. And so King's Chapel continues week in and week out to produce results on the international stage with obviously diminishing representation. And so to Redoubt's promise. He boasts a pedigree that demands respect from any self-respecting Australian, and so by all rights should do the same for us South African breeders. Let's put that into perspective with a few facts. His Mother Perfect Promise was the first and to date only South African bred horse to win a Grade 1 race in Australia. This subsequent to her showing her class locally by winning the Cape Fillies Guineas, Grade 1, the Grade 2 Emancipation Stakes and the Diana Stakes, along with seconds in 2 further Grade 1s and Grade 2s. But this is only part of the damn line, and the woes it caused the Australians because Perfect Promise full sister was a filly called Iridescence, who in the Grade 1 Queen Elizabeth II defeated the Australians' beloved Ouija board, becoming the second South African to win the race after London News did so back in 1997. This after securing the title of Equus Champion 3-year-old and Classic filly, courtesy of her South African victories in the SA Classic, the Willhavington and the Gerald Rosenberg. She was also victorious in Dubai, Hong Kong, the United Kingdom and America. His sire Redoubt's Choice himself has been much in the public eye this season, with local Grade 1 winners including Majmu and Wiley Hall now at stud, with these two confirming that this magnificent stallion's influence is as potent in South Africa as it is elsewhere in the world. So let us remind you that the last year not only was he Australian champion sire for the 3rd time, but the next 2 slots on the sire's log were filled by 2 of his sons, an unheard of achievement for a stallion in his own lifetime. And so to the son of Danehill, TOREADOR. Everyone needs a banker in racing, and there are few that are more reliable than TOREADOR, both in the sales ring and on the racetrack. A fact borne on by how many trainers supported him with their own mares last season, something which speaks volumes to us on what they see in the progeny on the tracks. Not that it's been hard to see, for he has enjoyed a wonderful season, and not a week, in fact barely a race meeting goes by without him giving someone a return. He certainly has some very exciting prospects in the pipeline this season, probably headed up by the likes of Prospect Strike and Laser Star. Little wonder he was once again one of the most sought-after sires at the Suncoast Sale, and this year, where he once again proved to have one of the best return ratios on his service fee in the country. We can only say thank you to all his connections in choosing to make this horse available to us here in KwaZulu-Natal, and to all of you who have shown the best form of gratitude possible by supporting him so well and filling his book each and every season. He certainly deserves nothing less.